Hi there! Welcome back to Playing God, the Game of Arting. I'm Steph, and this week I'll be drawing Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's. Yes, the really creepy bunny animatronic. I have to warn you, however, that I'm missing some footage. My recording got corrupted and crashed, so we're missing the last half of the sketch and the entirety of lines. I'll try to explain what I did, and I made a sort of example in red, but it's not nearly as comprehensive as it could be. I'm sorry. But anyway, on with the show. So I start with Bonnie's head. Big shapes to small. First I make the circle for his mass and slowly chisel it down and add the appropriate articulation. His ears, his jaw, etc. I throw in his teeth and eyes here, but technically that's a detail that could have waited till later. Then I move on to his body. Because I've raised his shoulders up and behind his head, you can't see the tilt there, so I just start with the ribcage. I like to make note of the placement and shape of this thing because that's something that won't move or bend. In fact, if you bend the ribcage, you have just broken your character's spine. Of course, since Bonnie's an animatronic, you could totally get away with that. Just add up to the creepy factor. I certainly won't stop you. It'd be cool, but I'm not doing it here. Add the action of his limbs. I'm putting Bonnie in the window here like a murderous puppet, which he is, so I didn't even bother figuring out his legs, they'd be cut off. Just the articulation of his arms with hands pressed up against the glass. After I do this, however, the recording's gonna get cut out, I'm sorry. What you're missing seeing is essentially just the refinement of his body and proportions, screwing around with the positions and shapes until I settle on something I like. I clean up the sketch as well as I can, erasing all the lines that have no purpose being there, like the remnants of that circle I drew for his face, until what's left is just a very clean rough. Then I skip the step of lines entirely and go straight to flats. I've only decided to do this here because Bonnie is a character from a horror game, and I'm stylizing him so that he's just slightly more murder crazy looking. Purposely scratchy lines aid this effect by a lot. I even draw the window off kilter to heighten this. It's a stylistic choice. You can do lines if you want to. I like to just mess around with my style, find new things that I enjoy and will replicate. I encourage you to do the same, but if you like what you do, by all means, you know best. There is no right or wrong level of how much scratch you can get, by the way. It's all entirely up to you. This is your art, your choices. I can only tell you the generalizations. All the details are up to you. You have the power. You are playing God. Flats are a pick and color deal, filled in with the brush tool this time because scratched up lines screw up the selection. Fortunately, Bonnie's only got like 4 colors, so you don't have that much to fill in. Shading here is along the same lines as Jinx. This is because, again, I'm doing very dramatic lighting. First we round him out with a darker blue violet, to give him some actual form. Then we fill bucket on a new layer, basically his entire shape, and then carve out where the light's hitting him. The reason for the dramatic lighting here is because I'm putting him right outside that window that you stare at and look at his shadow and go, oh my god, he's going to kill me. But there the light's right next to him, like directly next to his face, along those lines, so I thought it'd be cool. Something that I discovered recently is that there's a transparency button right below the color sections. Click that. Suddenly, whatever brush you're using, be it the airbrush, the watercolor, the pen tool, etc., it becomes an eraser. This makes shadow carving much easier and way more interesting, because the waterbrush and watercolor have cool little effects all on their own, whereas the eraser tool just erases. It's kind of boring actually, but here you can have interesting effects. you're done removing where the light hits, add the highlights on the points closest to the light source. Initially, I made my shadows blue and my light yellow, but towards the end you'll see I flip it because I checked the game colors and they're actually with a blue light with a dirty orange shadow. Here's something that we haven't done yet. Foreground. It's just the window, really. So, first we have the lines on the window. Then we add a translucent fill of the color of the light source. It's because the light has a color and the window is filthy, which means that the window is going to pick up some of that light color. Then, you know, just to be cool, quirky, murderous, I put some blood smears on the window and Bonnie, and the fingerprints of where his hands are pressed up against the glass. It's so that, you know, you can see that he's right up against the glass and staring at you and about to kill you. I was tempted to put a fog in front of his face as though he just exhaled onto the glass, but he's not actually alive, and he doesn't have lungs. Background behind all of this is just that hallway. It's the dirty, dingily, painfully brown, nothing really interesting there. I'm almost disappointed it's not more interesting, because while it's easy to draw, it's not very aesthetically pleasing. I could have done more, but I was attempting to, you know, stay true to the game. Now we just take it into Photoshop to crop it and save the transparency, which I only have to do because I threw the window off kilter at the beginning. And don't forget to sign your artwork. It's very important. You should always credit yourself. No matter how good or bad you think the piece is, your name should be on it because you drew it. And that is all for Bonnie the Bunny. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please leave comments below as to what characters you'd like to see me or Tori draw. Please mention which one of us it is. I mean, we have a 2-week turnaround, but we need that time to draw instead of staring at it going, I'm a little confused. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Have a good night, day, evening, 3 a.m., whatever time it happens to be. Bye!